Have you ever said to yourself, wow, A Course in Miracles is a really big book. Where do I even start with the workbook lessons? How do I even do them? This is a question that so many new and even seasoned students ask themselves, so you're not alone. In today's video, we are not only going to be answering how do you do the workbook lessons of the course, but we're going to be understanding what the purpose of these lessons are for. And we will also be dabbling into the realization that the workbook lessons can answer questions like, who am I? What am I here for? Where did I come from? How do I have more peace? How do I embody more mind training tools in my day? If these are ideas and teachings and questions that you ask yourself, then again, this is the perfect video for you. And I am so grateful that you are here. With that being said, I am Britney Shawley. I am a spiritual therapist and a Course in Miracles teacher and have been for the last 15 years. Many of you may even know that in 2013, I did every single lesson of the workbook online for you, with you. We went through the entire year of the workbook lessons together. You got to travel with me as miracles are happening in my life. And during that time, I was asked hundreds of questions about the workbook. And since then, I've been asked so many more. So at the end of this video, I'm also going to be going through the 5 most frequently asked questions from you guys about the workbook lessons. So do not miss staying to the end to watch that. But I also want to let you know that I've been creating something for you to help you with your Course in Miracles workbook lesson studies. And that is a 5-day workbook challenge. That's right. I've put links below that all you need to do is put in your email, put in your name, and you will get sent the first email that walks you through the lessons, helps you to understand and unpack the lessons, and apply it specifically and directly to your life so that you are supported in these teachings so that you can feel confident and empowered to keep going with them and keep building your mind training tool repertoire as you go along each and every single day. So if you want to have access to this 5-day workbook challenge, just put your name and your email below and it will be sent to you right away. But with that being said, it's time to jump into this video. Are you ready? Let's get started. I need to start with letting you know just the smallest little synopsis of what A Course in Miracles is so that you know what the workbook is. So the A Course in Miracles is a 3-part mind training course that helps us to find inner peace and peace in our relationships. The 3 parts are the textbook, the workbook for students, and the manual for teachers. Together, these 3 parts work together as a cohesive whole, helping us to transform how we think, how we perceive, and helping us to align with a deeper purpose. This helps us to forego any of those surface or superficial stories or narratives that concoct in our mind that are often the cause and the source of our anger and our frustration in our daily lives. So the A Course in Miracles is a powerful tool for peace in its entirety. But at Miracles of Mind, we focus on the workbook because we are concerned about the practical application of these ideas, not just understanding them intellectually or conceptually, but experientially. So the workbook lessons are designed to help us to train our mind to have a completely different view of ourself and of our world. And as we've already said, it helps us to undo fear. It helps us to undo errors and blocks so that we are no longer led by our ego and having like pain and frustration lead the way, but we are led by our spirit, which allows joy and peace and connection and calm to lead our way. So the workbook is where all of the inner transformation work gets done. It's how we learn how to forgive. It's how we learn how to see. It's how we learn how to give and how to bless and how to ultimately work miracles. So the A Course in Miracles is a powerful, powerful tool. And so it's an honor, genuinely, to break it down for you. But because we focus on the workbook and the practical application of it, let's go to that. What is the workbook? And perhaps what is its purpose? Like, what is it for? Why do we even do the workbook to begin with? So to start, the workbook is a set of 365 lessons. We are asked to do 1 lesson a day, no more than 1 lesson. There's enough going on in 1 lesson to just do 1 per day. But the lesson itself asks us to commit to maybe 5 to 15 minutes a couple times throughout the day. It's very, very minimal for the time that it asks us to commit to. But ultimately, when we do the workbook lesson, it helps us to save time. Okay. It helps us to save suffering. So the little bit of time that we put into doing the workbook lesson each day is going to generate a lot of time for us to actually feel more peaceful and feel more grounded and feel more connected and feel more guided every day. So each of these lessons in the A Course in Miracles has a central thought, like one main central idea. And that one central idea is what we were meant to contemplate that day. We're meant to think about it that day, apply it that day, apply it to our thinking, apply it to what we see with our eyes. It's literally the guiding light in our day is that one lesson of the day that we're meant to contemplate almost all day long. Okay. But again, we do this in a way that becomes part of our life, not separate from our life. So we don't always need to carve out special time for the lessons. We need to bring the lessons into our daily life. That's why it's practical. It works right where we are with whatever is going on in our daily environment, which I know is a lot. We're busy human beings. Okay. So this is taken into consideration. One thing, though, that we do need to know about the lessons in order to do them successfully is we have to know, however dimly, my friends, that we need mind training. And the way we know mind training is because if you bring awareness to your thinking, if your mind is the monkey mind, spinning, chirping, going from here, going from there, thinking about the past, thinking about the future, always confused and overwhelmed, jumping over things, that monkey mind is what we need to tame and quiet down and undo. And behind that monkey mind is your soulful mind, your whole mind, your mind that is peaceful, your mind that speaks to you and about you lovingly and through the eyes of worth and care and tenderness. So, what we're doing with the A Course in Miracles is we have that one thought a day, and that's to help us to clear the mind chatter away so that this new mind of love can rise in its place. But again, we can only actually do the lessons successfully when we admit to ourselves that I need mind training. I need mind training. I need to let go of fear. I need to let go of anger. I need to let go of pain. I need to let go of the suffering. I am done. So when we're ready to be done with suffering and we realize, yes, I need mind training, that is where the A Course in Miracles workbook lessons can come in and help be the tool that you need to train your mind. Okay. So it's really, really important that you realize you don't understand how your mind works. You don't know how it thinks. You don't know how to change it. You don't know how to uproot these beliefs that you've held since childhood, but you will learn that. You will learn all of that. And so what is asked of you with this is just to commit to doing the workbook lessons, just to commit to doing the workbook lessons. And my friends, if it's hard to commit to 365 lessons, start with 5. Start with the 5 lessons that I mentioned at the beginning, the top of this video, that I'm helping you to feel confident in, to feel centered in, to feel empowered by, so that you have more of an understanding of how to apply this workbook to yourself within the first 5 lessons, so that you can then, as your confidence grows, commit to all of them. Okay. So that's the thing. This is a year-long course because it's not a temporary band-aid. This is true spiritual therapy. This is how we really overturn the unhealed parts of ourselves and correct and heal the unhealed parts of ourselves. So the workbook lessons are a big deal, but it doesn't have to be so serious. It can just be complementary to your life as it is right now. So this then leads us into the purpose of the workbook. The purpose of the workbook, I've kind of alluded to, is the restoration of sight. Okay. So how we are restored to sight, restored to vision, okay, seeing things clearly and truly is by undoing the illusions about ourselves and about the world and accepting the love or the truth that looks on the real world here. So ultimately, we trade fear for love. The love becomes a vision with which we see the world, and we can look on to the real world. We can look on the kingdom of heaven, heaven on earth. We can see it here through new eyes, inner vision, spiritual eye. And the workbook, again, helps to train us to see that. So this correction or restoration of sight is not just a metaphor, my friends. Okay, this is a literal inner shift toward the perspective of love and unity instead of separation, pain, and war. So this is really leading us to a deeper understanding of ourselves so that we can have a lasting sense of inner peace and happiness. This is the purpose of the A Course in Miracles workbook lessons. It's for your good. It's for your well-being. It's for your healing. It's for your peace. And the more you have all of this, the more you can give it and share it and extend it to others who also need it along with you. Maybe even more so than you. Who knows? So that's that. That is what the workbook is and what the purpose is. So we've realized we only need to commit to one lesson a day for the year. And it's very minuscule, the amount of time it asks for us each day. So it's not added pressure. It's just what we want to do because we want to attain the purpose. We want to experience the goal of the workbook lesson. Okay. So why do we even have the workbook lessons? Okay. I'm going to repeat myself a little bit here, but it's because this message is so very important. We have the workbook lessons, or we need the workbook because we need mind training. We need mind training. We've literally, all of us collectively as a humanity, we've given our minds over to the ego, and thus we've given over being responsible for our thoughts. And we just kind of go along with the thoughts that are in our head instead of being responsible for it. The workbook exists so that we can learn how to no longer have a clouded ego or a clouded mind. So we no longer have that fear and doubt. And instead, we learn how to see truly. So we really need to learn how to take responsibility for our thinking, how to undo ego, and how to accept peace. This is the fundamental training of the earth that is found in the majority of spiritual or religious practices when you look deeper and hard enough. A Course in Miracles just makes it obvious by giving you a workbook of 365 lessons that says you need to do one of these each day. Like, it makes it simple, actually, because you actually know what you're doing. You actually know what you're doing, which we will get to in the next question, more of the details of how to do it. But as we conclude this thought of like, why do we have the workbook? Okay. We realize it exists because we need mind training, and this is to help us with our mind training. It's also to help us to shift from confusion to clarity, from conflict to peace, from unworthiness to worthiness. This is how we come to know who we are, by changing our minds about who we think that we are. Okay. So the last thing I want to point on here is the workbook is meant to challenge our old thinking. So it really does like break up erroneous perception. It really does kind of move things around in our psyche so that what is unreal and illusory can fall away and what is real can remain and be bright and clear and shiny, right? So when we're going through this process of the workbook, realize that you don't have to believe it. You don't have to believe what the workbook is saying. You don't have to like what it's saying. You don't have to agree with what it's saying. You don't have to understand what it's saying. We are asked just to do it. If we realize we need mind training and we have a tool for mind training, it only makes sense that we go through that mind training. Our ego is going to try and tell you all the reasons why you shouldn't do the workbook, can't do the workbook, why it's not right for you. But if you know you need help and you need to train your mind and you want more peace and you want to know who you are and you want to know what you're here for, doing the workbook lessons is the sanest, most simplest, most next right best step. Okay. So again, not a matter of belief. This is actually undoing our beliefs. This is for an experience. So our mind is going to battle these ideas and tell you things underneath it like, oh, well, saying that, you know, I can replace all of my grievances with miracles is arrogant. Like, that's self-righteous. Like, that's making me think that I know more than other people. Like, who am I to do that? That's not right. Whereas what's happening with that when the ego gives you ideas and beliefs like, oh, it's self-righteous to think that you can trade your grievances for miracles. That's the ego trying to keep you small. That's the ego trying to tell you that you are not what God created you to be. And it's trying to prevent you from your healing. So we literally have to say stop to these beliefs so that we don't let them be entertained. So we can just keep applying the lesson of the day. So know that understanding is not necessary. Belief is not necessary. Liking the lesson is not necessary. Just do the lesson. Just do the lesson as it's prescribed. Ready? This leads us into the big question we've all been waiting for. How do I do the workbook lessons of A Course in Miracles? How do I do them? Well, I kind of just said it. You literally do what it says. You do what it says. If you read through the lesson, you will see that in every single lesson, it breaks down exactly what we're supposed to do. So this is generally the framework. This is almost every single one of the lessons, at least in the first half. The second half is more receiving, restoration of sight. You'll generally have like one thought in one paragraph, and you're meant to contemplate that all day long. But the beginning, first half, especially because we're undoing error, is much more practical and handholdy. It's going to hold our hand, okay? So how to do the workbook lesson. It's important to note that it starts with the main thought, like we already told you, and that one main thought we are meant to contemplate for the day. So I'm going to use an example. The example that came up for me when I used the book as an oracle, and it was like, what lesson should I use to help people to understand how to do the lessons? I landed on lesson 43, which is God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. You will notice in this lesson that there are two distinct practice periods that he wants us to embody throughout the day. The first one is the long form practice periods, which is generally about 5 minutes, 3 times a day. So we are asked to commit to the morning time as close to waking up as possible and to the evening time as close to when you're going to bed as possible. And then one time in the middle whenever it works for you at your earliest convenience. And what we're told to do is that we are first meant to repeat the lesson for 5 minutes with our eyes open and applying the thought. God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. And so he gives us practical examples with this idea. First, it's to repeat, God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. And then he wants to apply that to what we see with our eyes. So God is my source. I cannot see my glasses apart from him. God is my source. I cannot see my lipstick apart from him. God is my source. I cannot see the Sharpie apart from him. And just take your time of like saying this thought and applying it to everything indiscriminately. We don't choose, we just apply it to everything we rest on, do it for a few minutes, and that is enough. And then what we're asked to do is after we've done with our eyes open, we are asked to repeat the lesson with eyes closed. And this time we're going to apply it to our thoughts. Okay, so it's very similar. God is the source, God is my source, and therefore I cannot see apart from him. We always start with the first lesson. And then God is my source, I cannot see apart from him. And you just repeat it and you repeat it and you repeat it and you hold it in your mind. And then if any thought comes up, you're meant to apply that to that thought. But what he also says in this section is that what he wants you to do as well is to allow supportive thoughts to rise up in your mind that support the idea of God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. And again, this only takes a minute or two. Set your alarm on your phone, like only a minute or two. We do not need long. It's like shorter than when you're going to go to the bathroom. Yay. And so what it is God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. And then you pause and you wait and see what thoughts come up. So it might be, I see through loving and forgiving eyes. God is my source and God is love, and therefore so am I. I cannot see apart from him because my mind is one from him, with him, and therefore I look with him upon all things. I look upon him with all things because I cannot see apart from him and because God is my source. Right? So you basically allow whatever thoughts are going to come to support that lesson to come. This is helping you to get in touch with the one mind that is in you, to show you that these true, whole, and loving thoughts are in your mind when you give yourself permission and space to let them rise up. Okay, to let them rise up. It could also be thoughts of like, I see through the eyes of forgiveness. I see the world is blessed. The world can show me myself. I see my own thoughts, which are like God's. Doesn't matter the thought. It could be any thought that surrounds this main idea. And that's it. That's the long form practice period. Looking outside of yourself, applying the thought, looking inside of yourself, applying the thought, and letting true thoughts come up to support that main one. That's simple, right? Do you feel like it's simple? Let me know below if you feel like it's simple. Do you feel like it's complicated? Still ask me below and I'll try and help you to really see that it once you apply it, it's not complicated at all. When we think about it, it might feel that way, but when you do it, it's really, really not. And then the second part about how to do the workbook lessons is always the short form practice that's given us throughout the day, which we're meant to hold in our mind. So the example that we're given in this lesson is, let's say you're out with a friend and you're going for a walk. You're meant to hold the lesson, God is my source, I cannot see apart from him, in your mind when you're with that person. So then you start thinking, wow, God is my source, I cannot see apart from my friend. So I must see God in my friend because I cannot see apart from God because God is my source. And you can even include strangers in this. You can even include people who help you when you're getting your food or getting your drinks at restaurants and so forth. This is meant to include everyone in your thinking and to use mind training in your daily doings. Does that make sense? So we've got the long form inner and outer practice for only a few minutes, and then we got the short form practice throughout the day. You can apply it when you're doing dishes. You can apply it when you're with people. It's meant to be used inside your mind. So no one will know you're doing it. I promise no one will know you're doing it. And that's the beauty of the workbook lessons is, again, you don't really have to take time outside of your day to do it. You do it within the confines of your day, other than maybe the 2 or 3 minutes where you're being still and observing and hearing outside yourself. But that's like setting up a habit like brushing your teeth. That literally takes that amount of time and is so worth it. We brush our teeth to have a healthy mouth, healthy gums. We do mind training to have a healthy mind. It's important. So leaning into another question here, which is really short. When do I do the workbook? I kind of explained it to you. We do it in the morning, we do it in the evening, and we try and sprinkle it throughout the day. Every lesson is a little bit different and it instructs you at what time to do it and how often to do it. So just stick to what the lesson says and you'll be able to do it perfectly. You can't go wrong. Okay. But just make sure you do it both in your home and outside your home, in at work, at the store, everywhere you go. It's meant to be indiscriminate where you apply this. The last question here before we get to your top 5 frequently asked questions, which I'm sure you're so excited about, I know I am, is where can you find the workbook? Okay, so the workbook is contained within the entirety of the A Course in Miracles itself. So when you order an A Course in Miracles book, you're most likely getting the 3-part book, which has got the text, the workbook, and the manual. The workbook is literally in the middle of the book. Okay. So that's where you find it specifically in form. But the place that you get this book is you can order it online. I will put links below. The Borderland Foundation. I am the president of this company. We give these books away for free. We just ask for you to pay for shipping or any donations so that we can continue to print these books freely around the world. But then, other than ordering a book, if you're inspired to download the free PDF, that's down there too, so that you can right away get started on the lessons without delay. So if there's any other support, I will make sure that I put it down below so that you can make sure that you become part of it, so that you can choose to be supported in your workbook lessons if you so desire. So that's where you can find the workbook. I will put the links below. It's easy peasy to find. But now we are transitioning into the top 5 questions about the workbook. Okay. So the first one, I get asked this all the time. Okay. It's what if I don't understand a lesson or what if I miss a day? Should I repeat it? So I've already answered a little bit about this idea of understanding the lesson, that it is not necessary for you to understand the lesson. In fact, it is preferred that you don't understand the lesson, because the first few lessons are helping us to undo our own meaning that we project on things anyway. So thinking that you understand something is often a projection. So we can take away the idea of even thinking we need to understand what it means and just go to the application of it. Like, just apply the idea like I showed you, apply it to what you're seeing with your eyes, applying it to what you're thinking in your mind, and that will lead you to understanding. Understanding comes after experience, not before. We don't want intellectual understanding, remember. We want experiential understanding. And so the understanding will come after you experience the lessons on a daily basis. So just be committed to it. Just do it every day. Just pick it back up again. It's totally okay. If you miss a day, such is life, it'll happen once in a while. But when you realize that you've missed a day, just make sure that you go back and you do the lesson that you missed. Okay. If you felt like repeating the previous lesson because you didn't attend to it as much as you would like, you can do that. You can do that. But just know that you're not supposed to do more than one lesson a day. But if you have to repeat a lesson just to just to like integrate it into yourself more, to really grasp it better, to do it properly, by all means. This does not have to be done in 1 year according to the calendar, but it does mean that you do one lesson a day to the best of your ability and you'll complete it when you complete it. Like, it's not like a marathon or anything. It actually should be like a slow walk that you just enjoy doing it each day. And so you can repeat it if you are so inspired. You don't have to. The best thing about that would be to consult your heart. Do I feel that I gave my best to that lesson? If you do feel you gave your best, went on. If you don't feel like you did and you could do it better, go ahead and repeat it. That's probably what I would do. But understanding ahead of time is not necessary. Just like belief is not necessary. Liking it is not necessary. Just applying it is. And it works when you do. I promise. So here's a big one. What if I struggle remembering the lesson for the day? This is a classic case for almost everyone. Oh my God, did I ever struggle with this at the beginning too? Like, just remembering the day alone, like remembering the lesson during the day alone is a feat, right? Because we're busy doing all the busy doings. And so it can be hard to remember. So don't beat up on yourself, first of all. Don't feel bad about it, second of all, and just do things to help support you to remember. So the few things that I do to help support me to remember is write out my lesson of the day on a cue card. I literally write it on a cue card, I stick it in my phone, and I carry it with me throughout the day. So that's something that could be helpful. You can just reference the cue card when you need. What also works for me is reminders. I set reminders on my phone so that I can apply the lesson. And I set a timer for when I'm sitting to do the lesson so that I'm not stressed out about how long I've been doing it. I know how long I've been doing it because I set a timer and I will be finished in 2 to 5 minutes. And I can stick to this for 2 to 5 minutes until I'm done. So I would do reminders. I would do timers. Some people also have created like screensavers for themselves on Canva, and then they will put that as a screensaver to their phone, and then they'll have it on their phone every day to reference. But also a lot of people will have like a study buddy, like a friend that you guys can connect with during the day to basically let each other know that you're doing the lesson, not doing the lesson, what is strugglesome, that sort of thing. If you felt like you wanted a study buddy, feel free to ask below. And we have an A Course in Miracles study group that we meet every single week. And there are so many committed course students in there that I'm sure we can find someone to pair you up with. But there's also things like just writing sticky notes around your house, putting sticky notes in your car, putting sticky notes on your door, putting sticky notes on your mirror, so that when you see it, you have no choice but to be like, oh, God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. Right. And you just apply it whenever you remember. So all those little things help. And over time, as it becomes more of a habit, it does become easier to remember. Like I really do promise you want to remember because you want to have it in those times when you need it. Right. When you're freaking out about something, it's so helpful to be like, God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. This crazy person in front of me is not what I think he is. Let me find the calm and the peace of my heart so I can see him truly. Thank you, amen. Right? It's like a form of a prayer. It's a form of turning you back to sanity. So that's what I do to remember the lessons. Another question is, da, 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 can I do multiple lessons in a single day? Answer this. But the answer is no. Do not do multiple lessons in a single day. The reason for that is because each of the lessons is obviously constructed very specifically and particularly as a mind training tool. So you're supposed to have that one lesson for 24 hours and you're supposed to immerse yourself in that lesson inwardly, outwardly, in relationally. And so if you have a second idea in there, then your mind is now ping ponging between two ideas instead of being wholly, fully, completely focused on one idea, right? And Jesus in the Course tells us that one idea can be enough to change our whole mind, can actually be enough to help us change the whole world, but we can get into that after. Literally, one whole idea that we accept into our mind can change us. So he wants you to be so committed to one idea every day because it's only a matter of time where it'll be the right lesson at the right time in the right way that's just going to click for you. That it's just going to click and the blinders will come off. You'll be illuminated in light presence and you'll be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I haven't seen this before. I can't wait for this for you. So just stick to one lesson a day. Another one here is, do I have to start in the new year? This is something that people are curious about. A lot of course students start on January 1st because it is a 365-day course workbook. I say start whenever the guidance is there for you to start. If you're feeling called to the lessons now because you need help now, start now. There's no point in delaying. There's no point in delaying. Start now. It's not the year according to a calendar. It's just 365 days whenever you complete them. So I would just start when you're ready to start. If you are inspired to wait until the new year, by all means, you can do that, especially being here later in the year, close to New Year. It's a great new beginning. Maybe there will be more people on board. Who knows? But really, you don't have to start in the new year. If you're inspired to, great. But I would prefer you to start the moment that you feel that you need it and you're ready for it and you want to commit to it now. So that's what I would say to that. So, what is the best approach to take to ensure that I am successful with the lessons? How do I ensure that I'm going to be successful with the lessons? Well, we have to, like I've said before, you have to remember that we need mind training. You have to remember that these lessons will help you in every area of your life, not just your own mental wellness and inner peace, but relational peace and even finding your purpose so you can make an impact, like a significant impact in this world. It will help you to understand your mind. It'll help you to train your mind. It'll help you feel calm and at ease, like literally the calm in the center of the storm. So chaos is spinning, but you're still at peace. This is what this is for. So the one thing that I do to help support myself to be successful in the application of these ideas is to set my environment, to choose my location, to choose my time, and to be consistent with that. Because I told you, how do you do the lessons? Well, you start in the morning by doing the lesson, you do it in the evening before bed, and you sprinkle it throughout the day. So my morning and my evening times, I sit in the same chair almost the same time every day. And when I sit down, I set my environment. So this is what it looks like. You can do this, you can not do this, you can do some of this, whatever, but this is how it works for me. I will turn out my lights so that it's low. I might light candles or incense. I, generally speaking, will have gone to the bathroom so that I don't have to think about my body. I will make sure that I have water and bring it with me again so I don't have to think about my body. I make sure I let people know that this is what I'm doing so that I'm not interrupted. And if I am, it's okay. But then I also like set reminders on my phone so I know how long I'm doing it. I have my course with me. I have my journal with me so I can write things down if I need to. And then I will like sit down and make sure that my distractions are out, right? That I'm not going to have to get up and go to the bathroom in a minute or, go get my phone. Like turn off your phone, put it on airplane mode or do not disturb so that nothing comes in to mess with your time. This is holy sacred time. Like this is you showing up for the divine spiritual therapy, right? This is something that is worthy of your commitment and dedication to. So setting up the environment is my way of saying, this is what I'm doing, and that's the most important thing right now. I'm not going to let myself get distracted. I'm not going to let myself focus on other things or stop halfway through or be quote unquote too busy. I'm not too busy to find peace of mind that's going to be brought into my day so I feel far less busy, right? It's much easier to do things in our day with calm than it is with stress. Things get done so much better when we do it with calm instead of stress. And so the workbook lessons are to help you to feel more calm. And if you take those few moments in your day to be still, few moments in your day to apply the lesson as you're out and about doing things, my friends, transformation is around the corner. So I really recommend you setting your environment to help ensure your success. Choose the time of day, the place that you're going to do it. Be very specific with your habits so that you really can allow these to be the foundational habits that everything else gets built upon for you. And so I think you will notice that throughout this entire conversation, I've been bringing it back to mind training almost the whole time. Mind training is so important. That's what the A Course in Miracles workbook lessons are for. And so, because of that, I really want to let you know again that I've created a 5-day workbook challenge that's to help you to get started with these 5 lessons and to teach you how to shift your mindset from fear to love. Okay. During these 5 workbook challenge days, I'm right there with you. I'm holding your hand. I'm walking you through it step by step so that you're not confused, so that you know what to do, so you feel confident and certain and empowered to walk forward with these lessons. So you can definitely find more information about this below. You can just click the link at the bottom, fill in your name, fill in your email, and I will definitely see you on the other side of that. If you really did enjoy this video and you found value in it, please like and subscribe because that helps to bring this video to whom it's meant for. So, my friends, again, I'm so grateful that you've joined me. I look forward to connecting with you soon. And until then, may peace and love guide your everyday decisions and life. Peace be with you, my friend.